Girl bands and sidebars next on Retro Serial. Hey everyone, welcome to Retro Serial. I'm your host, Ian C. On today's program, we have Robbie-Ann and Amy from the Glitter Boom Girls. And we talk about a number of things, mostly about girl bands, but a lot of sidebar issues as well. The conversation's really quite free-flowing, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. I'm not going to do an introduction to an introduction. We're just going to get right to the program. Other than to let you know that these girls are both authors as well, and I'm going to leave a link in the description box to their books and also to their podcasts and their YouTube page as well, so go check it out. But before we get into that interview, please don't forget to go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification if you are interested in knowing when these things are available. And what else can you do? Oh yeah, you can share it on your favorite social media. That's right. Let everybody know about the great content you're receiving right here at Retro Serial. And if you're listening to this on podcast, please do me the honor of leaving me a review and a rating. That would really mean the world to me. And also share it on your favorite social media. And if any of you are out there looking to part with some of your hard-earned cash to grow this program and to help me out, please visit our Patreon page where we have a few levels of support. The first level of support is just a tip jar saying, hey, you're doing good over there. Keep it up. We like what you're doing. It's $3 a month. The second level of support is our Cornflake Club, and our Cornflake Club members all get the podcast and most videos one day in advance. And then finally, depending upon when you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on audio, we are having right now our Honeycomb Hideout, and our Honeycomb Hideout is a special content. So if you're part of the Honeycomb Hideout, you will get exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be released on YouTube a couple days early, so not quite yet. For people who are watching this on YouTube, if you go over there and say, where's the Honeycomb Hideout? I want to join, I want to be part of it. Well, just wait, it's going to come out in October. But for podcast listeners, this is already October. So head on over there and part with some of your hard-earned cash. And I think that's everything. With all that said, let's get to the interview. Ian C. And I am so excited to have Robbie and Amy in the chat room with me this evening. And we are going to be talking about growing up Generation X. And as you know, I always like to have kind of a theme, but a loose theme. It doesn't matter if their conversations go off onto something else. It doesn't really bother me that much. And our theme is actually something I've wanted to talk about for a while, and that is girl bands. Okay, so this is going to be all about girl power and growing up girl and all that stuff. Because I feel like some genres of music was a little too like, I don't know, like a boys' club to some degree, especially in heavy metal. I don't know if you felt that way when you were growing up or not. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we do that, I actually want to talk to you about your channel and the inspiration behind it and why you guys decided to do a retro channel. So please, by all means, let's introduce ourselves. Everybody knows who I am. Let's go ahead. Whoever wants to start can start.
You starting.
I'm Amy Asbury. I'm an author of many 80s and 90s books. I think the one that's most retro would probably be Once Upon the 80s. And you can get it on barnesandnoble.com and amazon.com or anywhere cool books are sold.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm actually in the middle of writing a book right now. It's called Mr. Belvedere Taught Me About AIDS and Other Lessons I Learned from Watching TV. So it was actually one of my first podcasts. So
wow.
Yes.
But it's funny because it's true. I learned so much from those shows too. But Robbie,
I'm sorry, I'm moving my my cat is joining us. He's right behind.
Okay. Right.
So I'm Robbie-Ann. I am an author too. And I wrote a book called Taking Liberty. It's not nostalgia based. It's actually it's kind of I wrote it to be an inspirational story. It's about a woman who overcomes an abusive relationship and kind of heals and the process that she goes through. And it's not all sad and stuff, but and you can get that too on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, wherever books are sold. But if I may, Aim, I'll talk a little bit about the origins of the Glitter Boom Girls.
That's right. Yes, I want to hear about it. Yeah.
But first, we have to say how excited we are to be on your show, because we love your videos. And I mean, you can see just by the stuff behind you, right? Anyone with an Ed Grimley doll is okay with us. So
yes,
right.
We're thrilled.
Thank you. I'm honored. I'm super excited, actually.
Right. I know we're really going to get into a lot. We're going to talk about a lot of 80s female, because not only with the girl bands, but like the female artists. I think the solo women really shifted the culture as far as like I would say, I don't want to use the E word, right, empowerment, but just showing girls that they can claim their own identities, whatever that might be. But as far as our channel, Glitter Boom Girls, so back in a certain time period where we were all stuck in our houses,
right?
Amy and I have known each other forever, and if you guys want to hear about how we met and everything, go to our glitterboomgirls.com website, and the pilot episode of our podcast explains the whole thing. We met waiting tables in LA, and it's kind of goofy, like most of our stories, but so we're stuck in our houses, and Amy and I are both creative people. And I just said, we were trying to find like something fun to do, like what can we create together? What can we kind of do to pass the time in a productive way? So I was like, you know what? How about a podcast? And we just figured it out and put it together, and that was that. So we've got 31, I think, episodes so far. Right. And Amy does the graphics, and so when you see how gorgeous all of the images and the graphics, that's Amy's work. And we take it seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously.
Yeah, I get that. That's
right?
A great way to put it. We take it seriously, but not ourselves seriously.
Right. So that's kind of our story in a quick nutshell. But I want to ask you,
okay,
because we're going to be having a lot of our listeners who we love. By the way, we're worldwide. Just so you know.
Right on.
Like Japan, France, Germany. Hello to everyone. Like we get so excited when we get like messages from someone in Japan.
Right.
We're like, oh my God, Japan. But I want to know about you, like real quick for us. So tell us how this all came to be for you. Like, how long have you been doing this? And
it's kind of got an interesting story. If you ever want me on your channel to give you, because I have two stories. I have a long story, and I have a longer story. So
it's your show, so tell whichever one you want.
And I know, but if you ever want me like on your podcast or something as a guest, I'm happy to do anything like that. I'm not, insisting on it or anything. But if you ever want me, I'm good. I'm good at doing that. I love doing
for sure. We will.
But just to kind of let you know a little bit about me, the idea of YouTube and podcasting was kind of kicking around in my brain. And it's kind of a sad story a little bit, because my wife's the main breadwinner in the home. And that's fine with me. I'm like, hey, it's good. I got a sugar mama.
You're progressive.
I'm fine in that respect. I certainly am. I don't care where the money comes from, just as long as I can spend it. It's all good with me. But she's actually very ill right now, and
oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. We've been dealing with this for about 3 years, and many of my podcast listeners already kind of know about it. And we thought, well, what can I do? What can I do? And I've been in the public speaking business since I was about 12 years old. I just have a knack for being able to get up in front of an audience and express ideas. Like when I was in Scouts, they're like, have him do the talk, have him do the talk. So I thought, well, you know what, I'd really like to do a nostalgia channel, and I'd like talking about 80s and 70s, 80s, and 90s kind of stuff. And I said, let's do it. So we bought a really expensive computer and a nice phone and some equipment, and everything here has just been kind of learn as I go, especially the editing, because I just did audio before, but this video editing is all new to me. I mean, I'm looking it up on YouTube as I'm kind of doing it. So it's just been kind of crazy. So I thought, well, that's a good way to kind of earn a little extra money in case things go south sometime, which, eventually they will, but, hopefully not anytime soon, but just so it's there. So I'm building an audience and that kind of thing. So thank you for asking.
Well, that is a great story. And we send love and prayers for your situation.
Thank you.
That's always tough. And I hear you, there's a lot that Amy and I could talk about too. We're not without our trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
And this is a fun show, but we're all human, right? So we all might be carrying something around. So,
exactly.
But I love that you turned, I think, Aim, I think you and I kind of both did this too, in a way. Like you turned some of that energy, into channeling something positive. And that, to me, that's a really good way to deal with stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, all you can do is look at it in a positive way. But I do have a question for you to start out with, though.
Yeah, let's roll.
And that is, which of the two of you almost got kidnapped now? Because I was listening to your podcast and I was like, it kind of gets confusing if you're just listening audio. So which of the two of you almost got kidnapped?
It was probably me, because I was always almost getting kidnapped. I lived in LA. There was many vans driving by.
Oh my, holy smokes. That one about fears. I listened to that one. That was a scary one.
Right.
And then you guys both survived the wooden spoon, as did I. Grew up in a generation where it was okay to spank your kids, and I received my share of spankings. I mean, quite honestly, even got a little soap in the mouth.
Well, I did not have the wooden spoon exactly, but my dad was the king of walk it off. Okay. So whatever whatever hole I fell in, or mountain I fell off of, or roof I fell off of, you're all right, walk it off.
You died a couple times and he just told you to walk it off.
Right, exactly. It's like,
oh
I see the light, I'm floating toward the light, and I hear this, walk it off,
on.
But it makes us tough, right?
Right. Okay. Well, let's start with this. Before we get into girl artists or girl bands specifically, or women bands or whatever specifically, I do want to know, like, when you were growing up, what was your go-to genre of music? Anyone
you
can
go first,
Amy?
Amy?
Go, Amy.
I was all over the place, you guys. I just when I started realizing, wait a second, I get to choose what music I want. It's not just the ominous Fleetwood Mac album on in the background of my life, like at all times. I was like, I get to pick something. And that's right when MTV came out, is right when I started noticing what was going on around me. So I had the whole party, like Duran Duran, Van Halen, there was no rhyme or reason at all. So it was like, hey, New Edition, Madonna. It was just like anything that came out in 1984, I liked. So I was, I guess it's pop. And then I went more toward the rock, I guess, when I became a teenager. First, I went through the Bananarama. I guess that's kind of a new wave. I don't know. I went through a little bit of alternative. Is that what they called it then? I don't even know.
There was early alternative kind of
early
came
alternative, like 86, 87. And then it was like the hair bands. I got super into the hair bands. So I was all over the place, you guys.
You were all okay. I get it. What about you?
Yeah. And for me, oops, I lost you. There we are. For me, it was like Sean Cassidy, in the early years, Bay City Rollers, that I was really all about the 70s AM like the one hit wonders and anything that was on 70s AM radio. But as I got a little bit older, it definitely went to classic rock. I fell in love with Styx when I was like 12, 11. And that never stopped. Like they're probably the longest relationship I've ever had. I love that band. I just absolutely love their music and their message. They're so positive and just incredibly talented guys. No matter which lineup you pick or whatever, the personnel in that band and the songs they wrote. So that they were kind of my entree into classic rock. My dad was real into classic rock too. So I had a lot of like Steve Miller and like Amy said, like the ubiquitous Fleetwood Mac. I think Fleetwood Mac is such a big band. Like they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, that they're part of everyone's soundtrack. Like that's how huge they are. Shout out Stevie Nicks, who I plan on talking about, by the way.
Okay.
Today.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing that.
Yeah.
What was the group or the crowd you ran with? Because that was for, like I don't know where I was from anyway. It was a small town, and where I grew up, not where I was born, but where I grew up was a small town, and kind of the crowd that you ran with, they all kind of listened to the same music and maybe didn't like the same kind of music. So I ran with pretty rough crowd. Yeah, pretty rough crowd.
Really? Wait a minute. I want to hear about. Now wait. When
I'm
you
just
say
joking.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say when you say rough, like there's different kinds of rough, right? So, I mean, were you armed?
I was a super geek. I was a super geek as I was growing up. So nothing like drug pushers or gang bangers or anything like that.
Did you steal anybody's lunch money?
No. I was the kid who got his lunch money stolen.
I
was the geek nerd. Yeah.
So you were the little kid in my bodyguard.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. Kind of. I was more into heavy metal. What kind of, because that, the long hair and the concert t-shirt and the.
Okay. But wait, now heavy metal, when you say heavy metal, are you talking like, Megadeth? Are you talking Metallica? Are you talking AC/DC? What flavor of
I leaned heavily toward hair metal, but I liked all kinds of metal. I did like all kinds of music to an extent, but I did lean heavily toward kind of hair metal, Motley Crue, Rat, Dokken, that kind of stuff.
The Sunset people, right?
And
oh my
Vixen.
God.
Vixen.
Yeah. Oh, Vixen. Oh yeah, we got to talk about Vixen. AIM is the queen of Sunset Strip. Like,
okay.
One of her best books is called The Sunset Strip Diaries. So, and AIM,
juicy.
You got to tell a little bit of that story, because Amy was like hanging out on the Sunset Strip when all that music was all the rage.
Oh, really? That must have been exciting.
It was really fun, and people get mad because they want more of a salacious tale. But I was rather young. I was in high school, and I would go home and write down everything I saw each night. And it wasn't really like me being best friends with rock stars or girlfriends of rock stars or anything like that, but it was all the crazy people in their lives. So it was, and in and out, you did see rock stars at the Rainbow and the Roxy and all those places. And we did run into Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses. We ran into all these people, but it was more about the people down there and the people trying to make it down there. Mm-hmm. And it was really interesting. I started thinking, well, this is kind of a crazy social experiment. These people are living on their own. They're very young, so it's kind of a different, it turned out to be something different than what it might sound like. Mm-hmm. But I was really into that scene too. And it was really exciting and really colorful and just really charged and full of energy. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that comes across in the book too. Highly recommend. You would love the book, Ian.
Yeah.
Oh wait, should we call you Retro?
Like, no, you
do we
call me
you Retro
Ian.
Serial?
No. Ian's fine.
Okay.
Ian's fine. Ian C. Or
Ian C. You're an Ian Serial. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's interesting, especially that, and this will maybe carry us into the flavor of the podcast where we're talking about girl bands. But the reason why it's interesting and a good segue is I really felt like girl bands in that genre of music was a big deal because hair metal, especially, not all metal, but hair metal especially, was such a kind of a boys club, and they were a little exploitive toward women, that when women kind of stepped into that and said, no, we're going to rock too. And you had the vixen with the big hair and they, playing the guitar like, Randy Rhoads and stuff, that I thought that was, I thought, whoa, yeah, the girls got a voice too in this. Did you feel that way about that?
It was such a boys club. And the ratio was completely the opposite of everyday life. Because everyday life, the women have all the power and the guys are chasing them. And this was a complete opposite. There's like 12 guys and like 50,000 women, so it was kind of interesting to see the ratio flipped.
Right.
And it was definitely a boys club, but then they looked like us. So it was very confusing, the whole thing. It's like, God, what makeup is that guy wearing? Like, that's my shade. Like, I need that shade. It was very confusing, the whole thing.
Well, I literally thought Poison were girls when I saw their picture.
They were quite pretty. Yeah.
I thought that they were girls. I really did. I mean, and who could blame me? It's not like I'm, gender assigning or anything like that.
You were not the first.
They look like girls. That's all there is.
They sure did.
But what did you think, Robbie? What about this being a boys club? Or, you can kind of pull this into any direction as well as you guys want to pull it, as far as girls and female artists and all that.
Are you talking about the music business in general?
I was specifically talking about like heavy metal kind of.
Oh, metal. Oh my gosh. Metal is the ultimate boys club, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a very masculine energy music. And and dominated by a lot of male guitar players. I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing, because we've said this on our podcast too a lot. Like, we're not big haters of anything, and I look at music, especially, there's room for everybody. There's room for Barry Manilow and, Megadeth. I mean,
I love that you keep bringing up Megadeth. It cracks me up.
I know. You know what? I've been listening to some Megadeth lately. I don't know. I've been in a Megadeth mood.
I've been recently listening to I abandoned heavy metal for a long time and went straight alternative, Nirvana and all that stuff. But I've been listening like you. Because I've been trying to run, and so running so I have to listen to something heavy when I run, and Megadeth is on that list.
Heavy metal, is like my running play. I can't run anymore, but when I did, it was like Judas Priest. Megadeth, Nine Inch Nails, just all this crazy hard guitar stuff. But I think that actually, and you kind of hit on it, Ian, where the women sort of snuck into the boys club was when MTV came out.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, women had kind of an avenue to use their sexuality, use their beauty, create these images. Makeup and hair and clothes. That's the chicks' realm, right? And some guys claimed it, in that whole glam stuff. But really, people love looking at beautiful women, right? So, they sell products and all that stuff. So when you have a band like Vixen, they played it, right? They wore the crazy bustiers and all the stuff, and they had the hair. And I think that was kind of the entree for a lot of women to gain power and fame through MTV. Now, the double-edged sword of that, right, is it's exploitive or exploitative. Is it exploitative or exploitive?
We better consult.
Somebody
Webster.
look that up
I
and
don't
send us an
know.
email. I know.
Let us know.
And I went to college, but that, that kind of gets you trapped, right? I mean, if you start to sort of sell your sex, then you kind of get owned by that because that's how you're defined, right?
Right.
But I do think that there were some really groundbreaking, innovative artists that, and Pat Benatar, Madonna comes to mind, Joan Jett, where they sort of did both. They were like, okay, I can sell my image. I can create this image. I can base it on some brand of sexuality. And those are, I think, are three different brands right there, right? Like Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, and Madonna. They're all totally different types of female sexuality, but they were in control of it, right? Like they were in on the joke, as they say. So when I think about MTV and I think about the whole boys club in general, I mean, even with R&B artists, all of a sudden, you have somebody like Whitney Houston explode on the scene, who, a stupefying talent, obviously, right? The voice, I mean, just beyond, but also image wise, I mean, my God, did anyone look more perfect in a video, right? So she explodes on the scene, and we hadn't really seen an R&B female kind of cross over and gain that much power and that much fandom since maybe like Diana Ross did in the 70s.
Yeah.
You did
have like a Tina Turner kind of person too.
Oh yeah, but Tina Turner, to me, Tina Turner, and I've heard her say this too, she's a rock singer. Like, her music is really it's rock and roll. It's incredibly soulful, and I feel like she can do anything, right? Like she could sing anything, she could but for and I think she's another good example of like a different type of image, right? Like she came on the scene a little bit in the 80s, like it was a little bit of a comeback almost, right? Like she'd already kind of laid the foundation with the Ike and Tina Turner review, and we all know all that crazy history. We talked about her in one of our podcasts. I don't know if you saw that documentary on HBO, the I, Tina documentary.
No, I have not seen it yet.
Oh my gosh. Listen, anybody that's a Tina Turner fan, and you'd love it, Ian, it is powerful. Like she is a very special, talented lady.
Well, speaking of her, what do you think are some like groundbreaking female artists and bands? If you were to scour your mind and say, okay, well, this was a band, I can put a pin in here and say, these people or this artist changed this. Whoever wants to go and answer that question.
I'll go. I'll say Janet Jackson.
Okay.
In 1986, I think it was, Control came out. And that was just like the dancing, now you could see physically the song on TV and how you would dance to it. And it was very choreographed. It was produced by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And I wasn't even really an R&B fan, but I was glued to the TV. And she was super sassy, like I'm out on my own, like got my own life, all that. And I was about 12 or 13 when that came out. And I just thought, wow, all the choreography by Paula Abdul in the videos and all the fashion and just all of that together struck me as a teenager. And it wasn't my typical, because I was into Rat and Motley Crue and all that. But when I saw her, I thought, wow, this is amazing. And Whitney Houston, Greatest Love of All, and How Will I Know? Those really struck me. But, even bigger, obviously, is Madonna. With the crazy dance music, the crazy looks, just over the top. Those three, I would say, at my formative age of, 12, those are the ones I was looking at.
I think those are great ones, because those are three total icons.
Yeah.
And, I'm trying to think, was there anybody really before Janet Jackson who had that huge stage show with like 30 dancers and, just that crazy giant, I know Madonna had quite a spectacle. But when Janet came out with that album, what year was that, Aim? Was that 87?
I would say it was 86. I would say it was
86?
86. And the first one was Nasty.
Oh,
and it was
yeah.
like Nasty.
I
and was
remember
like,
watching
what
that
the
on
heck?
MTV. Yeah, right.
Remember
on.
that? It was on like
Oh.
Dial MTV, and I kept dialing. I'm like, I want to see that again. And they were
Yeah.
all, I mean, Madonna always had her two dancers behind her, doing the high kicks. And, with no dancers, she would have been great. But Janet had like the whole town behind her. And they were all
Right.
like doing crazy stuff, doing the snake. Remember the snake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, I gotta dial MTV
I will
again. I
not
need to
attempt
see this
to.
all over.
Yeah,
amazing.
I think those are great examples. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick Madonna,
Okay.
just because I think she was like a meteor into the music culture. And she redefined so many things. And she was nobody's puppet, right? Like, no, she had no Svengali. She was her own Svengali. Like she created her own image. And I'm not saying she didn't have help or, and she didn't have musical guidance from producers, or I'm not saying any of that. But as far as her putting a persona out there, she, like I said before, like she was in control of that. She was like, okay, this is who I am, or this is who I want to project.
Right.
And I really feel like a lot of these female artists, maybe they did actually do that, but a lot of them kind of were molded in a way. I mean, even Whitney, her early pop image was not who she really was, right?
No, she seemed to have a ton of money behind her, a big label behind her.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
a debutante almost.
Right,
She was
right.
not
It was Clive
raw.
Davis, at Arista Records, and she was kind of his. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't
She's like the
participate,
prom queen. Yeah, she was like the prom queen.
Right.
Yeah.
He just poured a whole bunch of money, and she certainly had the talent to pull it off, and great songs, really great songs. But I mean, Madonna, she was just marching into, like, she walked into the room and was like, gentlemen, I'm here,
Yeah.
and just kind of took over.
Right.
So
did you see that documentary? It wasn't a documentary. I shouldn't say that. It was a movie. It was a TV movie based on her early years. Like when she
I did Madonna and the Breakfast Club.
What was that? What it was called? I don't remember. It's a movie. It's not a documentary. It's an actual movie.
Yeah, and the girl looked just like her.
Yeah,
looked exactly like her. That was
was great. I mean, she did write her own ticket. She did.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, I'm sure she had help and everything. But I mean, when Madonna hit, it was a bomb on the playground. Quite honestly, I mean, everybody was dressing like Madonna. I mean, I couldn't count the girls at my school who were wearing the mesh gloves and hey,
I was a wannabe.
That is not a slam on anybody, because we all want to be, who our icon is. I had long blonde hair when I was a teenager, trying to look like Vince Neil from Motley Crue.
Oh,
so I,
let's get into that. Pictures. We want to see pictures.
I've got some somewhere, but I haven't seen them in a really long time. So we'll have to. I don't know how many pictures I have. I have some pictures when I was little, and I have some pictures in my 20s. But by then I was over Motley Crue quite significantly. But Madonna was just this huge star. For me, it's her and Tina Turner, because she broke from Ike, and she just didn't go into obscurity. She actually stepped out and made her own career. And it was amazing. It wasn't like, okay, well, as long as I'm with this band, I'm somebody. But she broke the mold, so she was somebody on her own.
Yeah.
and she didn't need that abusive relationship, and it was just an amazing story. And then the other one for me is the Runaways. I mean, the Runaways, talk about like, I think if you say like, what's the earliest like all girl rock band, I could be wrong, but the Runaways were like right there, 70s, and just rocking it. I mean, just great songs.
Very raw.
Yeah.
Very raw.
Yeah.
But again, I have to point out that Kim Fowler was kind of like the guy who, built the
Fowley.
Runaways, right? What did I say?
Kim Fowley.
I'm sorry.
He was a weirdo though, you guys. I ran into him quite a bit, and I did find him to be a little strange.
He gave off
creepy.
that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I read a couple of bio books about the Runaways, and yeah, he was kind of a strange guy. But he sort of assembled them, not to take anything away from the girls in the band. Joan, I mean, for Pete's sake, Joan Jett, Lita Ford, like, these girls, they held their own, but they, I would contrast them with a band like the Go-Go's, for example. Like the Go-Go's, those girls did it all themselves. Like they just got together, they played their hearts out, they wrote songs, they grinded it out. All right. And so
one of my favorite bands.
Right.
I mean, seriously, one of my all-time favorite bands. And Jane Weedon Weedlin.
Yeah.
Man, her solo album, her solo band is off the hook. I don't know if you have listened to that at all.
I haven't.
It's not.
Is that new?
No. But she's got a couple. But it's her band's called Frosted. And if you ever get a chance to listen to it, please do. I mean, Belinda Carlisle, she went kind of more a Madonna route, but Jane went like straight alternative, underground, kind of that poppy, punky stuff. And I just adored it. I adored it. I almost think of her as like a separate artist. If I ever ran into her, I saw her one time on what was that MTV reality show where they had like a bunch of stars that lived in a house together? Do you remember that show?
Was it VH1? Was it like
it was
the
VH1.
Surreal Life or something?
Yeah, the Surreal Life.
Vince Neil was on there. Your idol, your former idol.
My 80s idol, for sure. For sure, my 80s idol, for sure. I mean, he was the guy I totally wanted to emulate. But I saw her on there, and she introduced herself as the person from the Go-Go's. And I was just like, look, if I was there, I would have said to her, Jane, don't introduce yourself as the girl from the Go-Go's. Introduce yourself as the lead singer of Frosted, because that band rocks.
Okay, I got to check that out. Well, she was really behind a lot of those songs, and my gosh, the hits that came out of the Beauty and the Beat and Vacation and Talk Show, those albums were like, they're kind of perfect punk pop, I guess, if there's such a genre. Like, and I don't mean pop in a bad way. I love pop music. So to me, pop music is just stuff that has a great hook and kind of makes you tap your toes or whatever. That's my own definition. But yeah, those were, and when you have songs like Vacation or Our Lips Are Sealed or We Got the Beat, I mean, those songs are like 40 years old and they still sound fresh. They don't sound dated. And to me, that's an incredible feat for a band. And that's a lot of talent with the band and the producers, and, kind of being a real artist. Like, you're not just kind of jumping on a bandwagon or something. I mean, this was really organic music for them. Yeah. I never saw them live. Did you ever see them live?
Amy?
I never did, but you know what my favorite song of the Go-Go's? Mine was, remember that song Turn to You? Turn to You. That was my favorite, you guys. And they never showed that video, and I didn't see it until literally like 6 months ago, because I think they banned it on MTV and I don't know why. Do you guys remember that video?
They banned Turn to You?
You guys have to watch it. Everybody listening to this podcast, watch Turn to You. It is on YouTube. They're playing as a band at a rich 50s like debutante party, and they're all dressed up as boys. And it's adorable. They make the cutest boys. Yeah. And then they're also a girl character, each of them. So it's very, very cute.
Wow.
I'll have to
The
check
Lost
that out.
Go-Go video.
Turn to You. I will definitely look that up when this is over. Let me ask you this question. What I have a couple questions I really want to know, and that is, was there a guilty pleasure girl band or girl artist for you? Like, you know, you didn't want your friends to know you listened to it, but secretly you liked listening to it.
Oh my gosh, there's got to be so many. Wait, you guys. Wait, name some really cheesy.
So I'll tell you mine, and then
all right, tell me.
Okay, so I was, you know, for me it was Paula Abdul. I loved Paula Abdul, but I was supposed to be, you know, in rock music. That wasn't
cheesy. Like,
yeah, you're supposed to be Vince
really
Neil.
Liked her.
I know. I'm not talking like unpopular. I'm just talking like maybe music that you wouldn't want your friends to know you listened to. Yeah, Paula Abdul was that for me. I mean, I just. There's part of me that's a dancer, you know.
Funny. That's cute. That is so cute.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Paula though? I have to say though, I've always had an issue with the term guilty pleasure.
Okay.
Of, you know, when referring to music or movies or anything, because, and I totally get what you're saying. When you're in school or whatever, there might be stuff like, if you ask me, as far as my friends went, I would never admit to my friends or my father or anyone that I loved Kiss, because I don't know what it was, and it has nothing. I mean, I love Kiss. Kiss is a ridiculously innovative, like, you know, they're icons, right? But as far as my friends, there was something, and I think Amy and I talked about this in one of our podcasts. There was something about like their manliness. You know, I'm coming out of like Sean Cassidy and the Bay City Rollers and, you know, Andy Gibb. And all of a sudden, like, here's Paul Stanley with chest hair. And, you know, these guys are just like, they're all about like this manly, you know, thing. And I was like, what are these feelings? Like, I was so young and I didn't really know, but that had nothing to do with their music or anything like that. Because here's my thing. I still listen to my Sean Cassidy like CDs, and, you know, I'm going to see him in December. I saw him a couple years ago. I love the Bee Gees. You know, I don't care what critics think. I don't care if people say something is cool or not. If I love the music, damn it, I love the music. And I think the best way I could answer that question, because it's considered a guilty pleasure, although I think it's a masterpiece, but I love Xanadu, the soundtrack to Xanadu.
Okay.
I just think that music, Electric Light Orchestra created a lot of it. And, you know, obviously Olivia and the movie and everything. I can go on and on about the great things I think they achieved.
Oh, Olivia Newton-John was certainly a force to be reckoned with, you know,
right?
In the late 70s, early 80s. You know, I mean, she did have kind of almost a pre-Madonna thing happening for her, you know, with the Xanadu and and
well,
her music.
The movie, you know, it failed so spectacularly, right?
That was actually that movie. I just did a live stream last night, and we were talking about movies so bad that they're bad, like movies so bad they're awful, like not movies so bad you love them. And somebody in the comments section actually put in Xanadu. I hate Xanadu.
No, I have to fight them now. Oh God. No, see, I understand it, because when you watch it now, to me, the movie's biggest flaw is the sound mixing, which is crazy for a musical movie. You know, I don't understand what happened there. Like, the dubbing's bad, and, you know, the mixing of all the dialogue and the music and things like that. But when, you know, and the story, I mean, it wasn't like some Shakespearean, you know, thing. And frankly, I don't like sad movies, so it wasn't, it had a happy ending, blah, blah, blah. But when I look at what they achieved with that movie, I know we're getting a little off the subject, but Olivia Newton-John was a force to be reckoned with, like you said. And she hit, that was an 80s movie. And then she kind of got past that, and she did the movie with John Travolta, Twist of Fate, right? And she was just physical, like that whole era. She was such a huge, hot star. But they had Gene Kelly in Xanadu on roller skates, like doing this whole, and
he could do anything.
Right? He was such an athletic dancer. And they did this whole crazy, the big finale, Xanadu, the big like thing where they're all skating and stuff. And here's Gene Kelly on roller skates. Like, it's the greatest thing ever. So I always, I don't know. I've seen plenty movies that were way worse than Xanadu and had like 25 times the budget, which shall remain nameless, but
okay.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess, I'm sorry. I guess that would be my guilty pleasure.
What about you, Amy?
You know what? I did have guilty pleasures because I had an image to uphold of a rock chick, and I could not be straying off on frivolous Bangles and Bananarama cassette tapes. So I did hide those tapes. I had my Belinda Carlisle. I think it was like Mad About You. Yeah. I had my Bangles tape. I did love Walk Like an Egyptian. I had to hide that.
Oh gosh, that was great. It
wouldn't go with wonderful. My rat shirt, And then I also hid the fact that on Friday nights I listened to, I don't know the type of music you guys would consider this, everybody out there, but remember that little era of like the Cover Girls, Expose. Oh, it was like I'm fascinated by you, Company B, all that stuff. It was like
I've not heard of that.
Be the one. I don't even know those
lost.
Little groups.
Because Ian, you were not hanging out in clubs, with Amy and me.
Club music,
right?
Oh, okay.
So Expose. There was even a Debbie Gibson song that I liked. It was called "Foolish Beat" of my heart.
I'm gonna find this.
Secretly
on YouTube.
Liked it, and I was like, "I would hide this."
Don't play it. Nobody. Though. I don't want to get flagged.
So. It's fair use. Okay, but I won't play it. So we'll tell everybody. So you have to listen to Company B, right? That's
right.
I'm fascinated by, right. And what was the expose? You're taking me to the point of no return. Yeah.
Yep. That
total club music. I love
club music, and they were kind of like when mini trucks started coming out. You guys remember, like everyone had like the bass boost. Maybe a little bit later in the 80s, but it was really tacky and fun. And remember Stacy Q,
I remember Stacy Q.
I was like,
do you remember Pebbles? Do you remember Pebbles?
So
Pebbles was great.
Yeah. Speaking of Pebbles, behind you, Pebbles.
Right,
cereal, right on.
Oh, you guys!
There was a little while there where like when I was a kid, if somebody said Pebbles, I thought of the Flintstones, and there was a while there when somebody said Pebbles, I thought of the artist. There's a brief period where that it switched in my mind from automatically going to the default Fred Flintstone to actually going to the artist.
That's puberty. That was puberty. That's the mystery. You guys, what was the other Pebbles song? I know there was Mercedes Boy, but what was that other one? Yeah.
Why did you have to treat you so bad? What did you let him treat you so bad?
And then you guys, Jodie Watley was a big one at my 9th grade class because she had giant hoop earrings and biker shorts and a giant perm.
Yeah, and, stunningly beautiful. And and singing, I'm looking for a new love, baby. Like she was I think, can we find another word for empowerment? Like what is that? Is that
you could still say it? It's a little
self-awareness, or I
think you can still use that word. I know people are hating on that word right now.
I didn't even know people were hating. I'm so
Ian, I gotta tell you, oh my gosh, Ian. Listen to what's happening. So right now there's a big backlash against this whole female empowerment boss babe Everyone is
Oh.
calling it very performative, like they're actually not helping women,
Well,
so it's
Well,
a thing
I
right
just
now.
I didn't know there was a problem with the word empowerment. I
It
mean,
came
I
out
just,
like, yeah, just kind of happened.
listen. I
But
don't listen to anything like
hey, I
that.
think it's still a good
Right.
word. I think it's still a good word.
I'm too busy thinking about philosophy and theology and that kind of thing that I worry
I
myself.
only
Oh my
think about
gosh.
The
pop
real
culture.
world.
Theology. Oh, that would be a fun discussion with the two of us. Oh,
I like
heck
pop
yeah.
culture and cereal boxes and toys. So I will just sit over here in the corner. You
I
guys
like
talk about
Sean
that shit.
Cassidy, Xanadu, and Madonna.
All right.
And Styx. Oh my God, Styx.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Yeah.
Sticks. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, you
Yeah.
guys, I thought of something else. Sheena
Okay.
Easton was the
Oh
coolest.
yeah.
She was. What a voice on her. Yeah.
She was
I
so
love Sheena
beautiful.
Easton.
And she had the greatest music. Forgot to
I
throw her in.
remember I was so broken up over some boy,
Oh no.
as usual.
Is it
And
the boy that punched you in the stomach? That one?
oh that was
Oh.
first grade.
Okay.
Yeah, I got over him fast. But no, when that song came out, you should have been with me, that Sheena Easton tune.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, the story of the song is, well, let the lyrics tell it. You're the seventh son of a seventh son. Maybe that's why you're such a cold one, or something like that, right?
Ooh, the shade of it all.
Right. So he basically leaves her, and she's like, hey, you could have been with me instead of alone and lonely. Instead of alone and lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember playing that song ad nauseum, over and over, like constantly, because there was something about her vocal, there was something about the words, and and the boy that I was broken up over was not, in fact, the seventh son of a seventh son. But
what was his name?
I don't even think the guy in the song was the seventh son of a seventh son. That's really hard to pull off.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of which guy it was.
I remember the Iron Maiden song "Seventh Son of Seventh Son."
Yeah, no, totally different. Yeah, different vibe. Totally different vibe. Yeah, I got to ask you something, Ian. So all the stuff behind you, right? The Ed Grimley doll, and I see the Star Wars stuff. Is that stuff that you have recreated from your youth, or are those actually things that you have kept all this time?
Good
most
question.
all of it's all stuff I've kept. I mean, some of the stuff I've got later. I mean, these lightsabers are new, but my, like, the CDs are original. I got 2 REM CDs. I got a Nirvana CD and a Nirvana album. That's more new.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ed Grimley doll was a doll I got. I got a naked Luke Skywalker over there. He's in a black robe though.
Why is he naked? Is that a long story?
No, it's actually a self-deprecating, embarrassing story. I was really into ninja stuff in the 80s. And so I had this Luke Skywalker doll. And of course I wanted to make everything ninja. So I had my grandmother sew him a ninja outfit. And I wish that I would have kept the original costume, but it's gone. So he's just, the only thing left of his ninja costume is his outward robe. That's it.
Okay, Ian, that is a guilty pleasure.
Right, exactly.
But I cannot think of a better story. Like, she made a ninja outfit.
That's really cute,
right?
Yeah.
What did you call your grandma, Ian? Did you call her grandma, or like?
No, there was no special name. It was grandma.
Oh, just grandma.
Yeah, grandma and grandpa.
Okay, what was the other grandma called then?
Didn't have one.
Ah, well, easy decision.
Yeah, I didn't really. It was really just kind of my mom's side of the family, that I kind of grew up with. So
I love that you still have it though.
Oh yeah,
I like it too.
I've got lots.
Yeah, because that's special. That's special. Yeah, there's a story that I tell. I can never remember which podcast episode, because we go into these sidebars like we are.
Sure.
But my dad, I broke the lower legs off of my Bionic Woman doll. Oh. I was jumping on my bed, and I heard this, and I'm like, and there was my doll, like, in the covers, and I snapped her legs off at the knees. So I go running, Daddy, I was all crying with the little legs in one hand and the doll in the other. So my dad takes the doll and he goes down in the basement, and I hear this like, bloop, bloop, tap, 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 nee, 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 and all these like noises. He's down there for an hour, and he actually took a tiny drill and drilled holes into her legs, and then took this copper wire with like needle nose pliers and stuff, and and he's like, and he fixed her the joints and it reattached her legs, and they were kind of loose and swingy, but she was whole again.
She had legs, right?
Oh yeah. And I still tell my daddy to this day, I'm like, Dad, whenever I questioned, like through my adolescence or whatever, when you're fighting with your parents, and if I ever questioned whether or not he loved me, I think about that day and how he fixed my doll.
Oh, how precious.
That's huge.
Right. I know. So I am incredibly touched by your naked Luke Skywalker.
My naked Luke
ninja
Skywalker
robe.
doll.
Yeah,
Right.
like that is seriously cool.
My grandmother endured so much. Had her sew me a beret one time.
Oh
Wait,
my.
Wait, I need to hear, who were you trying to look like in the beret? Like Ferris Bueller? Or?
No, actually it was, I was into my breakdancing phase.
Oh, the Kango. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and I did have the white gloves with the knuckles.
You had to have
they were
it.
driving gloves, I think, for real, but they were also.
You had to have the beret.
Hand
Ian,
spins.
did you use cardboard or did you use like linoleum? The cardboard?
Cardboard you can carry with you.
Right.
Linoleum, you have to go somewhere where there's linoleum.
In the valley, there was this place called Carpeteria, and they had pieces of flooring, and people would take the scraps. That's why I asked, and bring it on the bus, and just bring it somewhere like with a scrap. But wait, so your grandma made you the beret, and then what was your first breakdancing move that you learned?
Probably like the wave or something like that.
Right.
Simple like that. That's actually called popping and locking.
Right, popping and locking.
Technical here.
So
do it.
But my first break.
Do it.
Ian, what is it called?
Oh my God, you're telling
Wait,
me
is he doing it? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Do the robot and everything.
Okay.
I want to see the robot.
Well, I don't have much room here.
Wait, we got this is serious.
No.
Okay, I have a question for Ian.
We'll do the robot on your show. Okay. Yes. Go ahead. What's your
Ian,
question?
When you're kind of waiting for your turn to break dance to jump in and you're kind of bouncing in the background. And what was that little dance called where you're kind of, is it up rocking, where like your feet are kind of going back and forth while you're waiting and then you jump in? Like, what was that little move called? I think it's called up rocking.
I don't remember the moves.
I remember thinking
other than like the backspin, some of the major moves,
the backspin.
The backspin.
I always tried that, you guys.
Yeah.
How many of us tried to do that on the kitchen floor and like slammed into the refrigerator like I did? It just never worked.
I never ever tried one single breakdancing move ever.
Oh my gosh. I tried.
But I'll tell you why, because I knew that I would slam into the refrigerator. I would break my neck.
You never tried the worm or the centipede or any of that?
Oh,
I can still do that, you guys. I'll do it right now.
No, do it. Let's see it.
But you know what? Some people call it the worm, and we called it the centipede. So I don't know who's.
Is that the one where you're on the floor and
you're like your body's
like
you're
doing that on the floor,
and then you could do the reverse version.
Oh yeah.
I did that and slam my head into a dresser, and my sister still laughs in my face about that.
Oh,
I'm all you guys watch.
Goodness. We could do you guys could do a whole one about childhood injuries.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. We did do one that I don't think it came out yet. About playtime. Is it playtime?
All the injuries from all the toys.
Yeah, like deadly toys like the jarts and the blazing hot slide on the playground, the asphalt.
Yeah.
The asphalt that your head
all the concussions you get from the playground.
Nowadays these kids, they bounce off the rubber stuff, but no, we just hit that pavement like
you guys. I wish we would have met Ian in his grandma's Kangol hat. That would have been so cool, in his white gloves.
You probably wouldn't have liked me. Girls did
not
like
been cool.
Me
we would have supported you, though. We would have bounced like in the background.
Maybe
like supported you.
Maybe.
Right. Did you ever hurt yourself, Ian? Like, did you ever slam your head into the dresser? Like,
I have tons of injuries, but not. I don't think really too many from dancing though. But hitting stuff and that kind of thing. I've done that before, but nothing really major.
Did you ever like ride your bike off of a ramp and like
all the time.
And like crash into a tree and like,
oh gosh.
yeah, that's the biggest injury I feel like
it was just
our
insane.
age.
Actually, my biggest injury is actually I don't know if you can see that scar on my arm right there.
What was that from?
I got that when I was 4. I fell off of it was one of those swings where it's two, they're facing each other.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yep.
And a friend of mine, an older friend of mine,
of course,
said, let's stand on the back of the chair and swing. Well, this is a swing that my mother had put together. And so it was one of those swings where you'd swing and the post would kind of come out,
the A-frame where it's like
the A-frame,
and all the screws were like this long, and I fell off of it and caught myself on a screw, cut myself it stabbed in the middle. And then I couldn't pull it out, so I freaked out and I went whoo, and it ripped it like way open.
Oh my God.
And I went in and showed my mom, and it was we were going to the hospital. Luckily my aunt was there, and she was already dressed and ready to go. My mom was the shower actually, but by the time we got at the driveway, she was fully clothed. That's the level of upsetness that she was. And
also those years, it was also about rabies. Everything was going to give you rabies when you got cut. They're probably like, he's going to get rabies also,
Yeah, the tetanus
shot. He needs a tetanus shot.
Oh,
baby Ian. Oh my gosh, little Ian. And
Ian.
I'm serious though. I was the geek back then.
There's always an older cousin.
So was I. I was a huge geek.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't have any filter. I've said this before. So I was raised by a single mother, and I was the only child. And she just thought the sun rose and set on my shoulder, so I could do no wrong. So
that's so cute.
It is, but when you have a family, you have older brothers or sisters to say, hey, don't go out of the house that way. That's not. Other people aren't going to like that. So, I'm 12 years old, and, you're just getting into girls and stuff like that. And I'm wearing like a sword, like a Dow sword, and pretending I'm going to.
And your mother's like, you look so cute, baby Ian.
Yeah, and everybody else is but I had no filter. Everybody else was just making fun of me, and I was like, why are they making fun of me? I just don't get it.
So cute. You needed like an honest opinion,
You
needed like a mean brother to be like, you know what?
Right. Or some tough guy at school to like pull you in the boys' room and be like, okay, look, dude, lose the Kangol hat, lose the sword, don't tell anybody about your naked Luke Skywalker doll.
That's so funny though. It's very, very
it worked out as I got older. It allowed my personality to develop to some degree, Well,
yeah, and I think those I can speak about growing up as a nerd, and like, I wouldn't say people hated me. Like I never got shoved in a locker or anything, but there was a lot of when I walked by because of what I was wearing or whatever. But and I do think it gives you, it's not a toughening or something. I just feel like as you get older, you really get a true sense of yourself, and you let your freak flag fly, man, like all the stuff in the background in this podcast. And I think that's a huge part of the nostalgia, the community, I guess, if there is such a thing. People who are real into that stuff, I don't usually find like the quarterback of the football team and the prom king as the people who are all into nostalgia. I feel like it's usually someone who is somehow a misfit or an outsider or something in some way.
Yeah.
And I know that's how I got through all that stuff. I mean, my locker was full of like pictures of Sticks and I didn't bring Sean Cassidy into the locker, but like, on my Walkman, my sport yellow Walkman.
Ooh, I had that one too.
Yeah.
Right. Like I would have a mixtape, and I wouldn't tell anyone that. So I guess that's my guilty pleasure, right? I wouldn't tell anyone that I was like sitting there, bobbing to Sean Cassidy in high school. So I love that. I would like to think that I would have been like, hey dude, where'd you get that sword? Like, what's it for?
Yeah.
I would have sat with you at lunch.
That would have been cool. I had a lot of friends. I did have some friends. But I was I just always marched to my own beat. But it was a difficult childhood, especially being in kind of a small town and a town that was very rural.
Yeah.
And so, people wanted to be macho, and that's part of the reason I gravitated toward heavy metal early in my life. But I was a total phony on it because, you're heavy metal. I mean, you're a macho man, you're the guy who gets the girls, and you're the guy who, but I wasn't that way at all. That was just a total mask. And I think that's why when alternative rock hit, I made such a twist. I turned that corner rather quickly because it was more representative of what I was actually going through. It's like, oh, it's okay to be a geek. It's okay not to be a jock. It's okay not to, experience those things. So I would have loved to have had you guys as friends. I would love to have friends.
Can you imagine our lunch table, like the three of us? Like that would have been so cool. Like here's rocker Amy, with her like hot sunset strip outfit and stuff, and
right.
She's like,
what year are we
talking
school. About? What year are we talking about? Because things change from year to year. What year would this be?
I was down there. I would say I started getting into that scene, but I was too young, in about like 88, 89. And when it hit about 1990, I went down there. So I'd say 90, 91, right in the boom, where it became really like, what was that one big Guns N' Roses? The Terminator 2 came out. It was like that.
Yeah.
Where it was like kind of overblown by that time, really. But I was too young. I couldn't get into those clubs before 16. At 16, I ended up getting into the scene, but it's interesting. I kind of share with you, Ian. I picked that music for the same thing. I felt like a dork. I didn't feel tough. I felt nervous, and I thought, okay, I want to align myself with badasses. So I will, by association, also be a badass. I'm going to wear this band on my shirt. I'm going to walk around with my head high. And they were kind of like little packaged identities that you could have, these bands and these cliques at school.
Right.
And you pick one, and also you hope you like the music too. But some of that music sounded like awful. And I was like, I still need this. I really need this.
Yeah, I think every genre suffers from that. Some of it sounds awful in every genre of music. You just kind of put up with it, and
I find it sad that, the real person that we were, hey, I liked, New Edition, and I loved collecting cereal boxes and candy boxes, and I loved my toys. And then, as you get socialized in middle school, you're like, oh, I got to scrap all this shit. I got to scrap everything. And it's a very sad thing that you completely, get rid of all of it. You try to get a different identity. And I find it, you guys, my cat's walking through it. Sorry, guys. I find it really cool when you find yourself again and go, what did I like? Who was I? I feel like the most pure people that we were when we were like 10, you guys. That was the real us. So I feel like, what did I like when I was 10? When I got in a horrible depression I think it was my early 30s, I thought back, what was I into when I was 10? That was the real me. All this stuff got piled on after. And then I kind of dug it all back up. Wait a second. I like this. I like that. And you kind of come back around to it. And I've got a giant toy collection just like that, but with like Barbies and My Little Ponies, all my stuff.
You got to put that behind you and put that on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
You guys got to do it. You guys got to do a YouTube thing.
I know we should.
Yeah,
but
we
I
should
love
figure
all that
that
stuff.
out. Right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times where we record our podcast and we do it on Sundays, and we are not always video ready.
I get it. That's the beautiful world of podcasting, right? I mean, just audio only. Right. Okay. So we're going to bring it to, there's a few more questions I wanted to get to, but you know what? I kind of want to bring it to a close, kind of wrap it up. Before we do that, I have just my last question. This is a question that I try to ask all my guests if I can remember. And that is, I need a video store memory from both of you. Now, given the fact that there's only one Blockbuster left in the entire, I don't know if it's the whole world, it's definitely the United States. And given the fact that we all grew up in an era when I'm talking to me and Ed Grimley, we both, and then you two also grew up in an era where video stores were such a big deal in our lives. Do you have a memory for us that you could share with the audience of a video store memory?
You want to go first, Dane?
My memory is of my best friend and my sister and I. We were so into this movie, Can't Buy Me Love, with Patrick Dempsey and who was that gorgeous Amanda Peterson girl? I forgot her real name, but she was a doll. And if that movie wasn't at the video store, you guys, our whole night was ruined. You know what I mean? And there's like one copy. So you're like about to start crying, and you're all ready. You're like, oh my gosh, is it going to be there? Is it going to be there? And you go in and you're like, Mom, will you take us over there? And then like, if the night said it was there, we would like jump up and scream. Yeah. It was like winning the Super Bowl. And when it wasn't, we were like, watch Night Tracks again.
One of those video stores where it was like a hole in the wall where they only had like one of the video. Yeah. We had many of those.
And it had these, that tubing, that neon tubing in the 80s that was like shapes. It was like a triangle and a circle and a squiggly, on like a graph on a graph, it was just so stupid. But yeah, it would ruin our night, everybody, if we couldn't get Can't Buy Me Love.
Because you'd go in there and you'd always watch movies you already saw, right?
You wanted to watch something you already saw.
Right,
what was that?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah. My memory is, it might be a little different, but when I was in college, all through college, I worked at a record store here in Buffalo. It was an old chain called Record Theater. Oh. And like anyone from Buffalo was like, oh, Record Theater. They were very legendary, these record chains. And it was kind of like the Buffalo version of Tower Records, sort of a similar thing. And one of the locations, I worked at like all these different locations, I could like run the register with my eyes closed. Like I was the girl at the customer service counter where if someone was like, that song, it goes like I was the one that would be like, oh yeah, honey, this is what you want. And our one store had a video store attached. Like there was an experiment where Record Theater was going to get into the video rental business. And I used to like the record store was in the back and I was like a manager, I had the keys, and I would go up into like everything's fine in the video or in the record store. And if it was slow, it's like blizzarding outside and, nobody's coming into the store. I would go up in the video section and I would totally like go through and find some warm fuzzy movie, like Can't Buy Me Love or something like that. And I would put it in and like, we would just like drink coffee and like hang out and watch these movies in the video store. And the kids that worked in it, they were all these young little princes of Buffalo, like these, cute, adorable guys. And they were all friends. And so it was like, oh, we need another person to work here. And oh, here's my friend so-and-so. And so we always had a fun time. Like it was just it was always warm and fuzzy up there because they were always playing these warm and fuzzy movies. And as soon as their manager guy left, every night at 6, they'd pop in like, like Terminator or like this crazy action. And people would come in and they'd be renting their like kids cartoon. It was like stuff going on. But that's mine.
That's hilarious.
I want to hear yours, Ian. What's yours?
I actually have a whole 45 minutes of video store stories. Anywhere from thinking
I got nowhere to go.
Okay. Anywhere from thinking I was kidnapped to hiding from bullies happened in a video store for me.
Okay, I want to hear the hiding from bullies story.
Okay, all right. Even working at a video store for free. I have a story about that.
No, tell that one.
Okay, so there was a video when I moved to my current location. There was a place that actually sold guitars and videos. Like it was weird. He was a
Okay.
guitarist, and he sold guitars, but he had a whole video store collection. And I was an amateur guitarist, not really that good. I'd go in there all the time, and I was 15, 16, somewhere around there. And I would go in and just hang out and bug him. I mean, it was just awful. Well, one of the people who worked the night shift, I got to be good friends with. He was a drummer, and we talked about being in a band together and all that stuff. And he was gonna leave. He was gonna move on, whatever. And I said, I really want this job, man. I really want your job. Well, I didn't know that the owner had said that he would never hire me. Like, not in a million years would he hire me. I don't know. I was obnoxious, I guess. I have no idea why, but I didn't know that. So the guy behind the counter was training me, and he'd go out and have cigarettes, and I learned how to put away everything and take orders and all this stuff. And I, not take orders, but run the cash machine. And I did this all free, only to find out that I didn't get hired.
Oh my God. It never occurred to you to ask for a paycheck?
He was having fun.
Well, he told me he was going to put in a good word for me. And the best option for me was to learn all this stuff so I could just seamlessly take over.
Mike Damone. That's so Mike Damone.
Oh my God, Aim, I was just thinking that. I was going to say, so you were Rat and he was Damone.
Damone's like, go ahead and put all these movies away, and I'll be out here.
Put all these movies away. And
yeah, there you go.
We'll get you a job.
Yeah, there you go. I can't do it
Right. That's mine anyway. But tell one of them, one of many. I literally got like 45 minutes of me telling video stories on one of my podcasts. But tell everyone where they can connect with you online.
Oh, for sure. So we're so like all over the interwebs. We have a Instagram, Glitter Bee Girls. We have a Twitter, Glitter Bee Girls. And listen, we answer every DM. Unless it's gross, then we delete you. But we love hearing from people. We get show ideas and all kinds of stuff. And especially, bonjour, like our friends in Japan. And there's somebody in Hungary who listens to the Glitter Boom Girls. Like, we're so excited. And we also have a website, glitterboomgirls.com. And there's some fun pictures on there and little background of how Amy and I met, because we're actually really old friends. So we have a long history. And as you became a victim of tonight, Ian, we are the queens of the sidebar. So I know you tried to,
sorry.
I know we all of our podcasts, like, we'll have a title of something and then it's like, I don't know what, 70%. And then 30% is like, and this one time, and we just go off. But I think that's the beauty of podcasting. Like, people just want to hear the conversation, so.
Yeah, there's actually a meme out there where it has a real person and then like two cutouts of people. And then the meme is like how I feel listening to podcasts, so it's
that's pretty funny.
They want to be part of the conversation, and it's like being in a conversation with friends, but you're not participating in it, so people love it. People love that, listening to people talk about what they love to hear being talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I listen. Like, the ones I like are not always, like, one of my favorites is the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast, the gossip one. We've been on David's show, and he's been on ours a couple times. He's super fun. He really gets it, because they're really informative. But there are a lot of shows where you just feel like you get to know the people. I think those are the ones that are really they have longevity and you keep going back, where they provide good content, like David's always got, I can't believe it. He gets, like, Donna Mills was on his show. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. Right. So there's the whole celebrity angle, but then when you have people just talking about true crime or music or things like that, I always think it's more fun to kind of get to know them a little bit better. So for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Stay on with me afterwards for just a minute after I close the show out. Hey, everyone, if you are listening to this on podcast, please do me the honor of writing me an honest review, as long as it's good, or even if it's bad, still write me a review and leave me a rating. That would mean the world to me. And if you're listening to this on YouTube or watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share it on your favorite social media. And if you are listening to this on podcast and you like what we do on podcast, you're going to love what we do over on YouTube, because I just have some other videos that are just YouTube specific that don't quite transfer over to audio only. So head on over there and listen to us there as well. I've been honored to have Amy and Robbie with me today on Retro Serial. Thank you so much. And
oh my gosh, Ian, thank you. We have had so much fun, and we have been looking forward to this. Like, you're like a professional. You schedule things. You have all your S together. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, for sure.
Like,
I try to.
Totally. And we just kind of wing it, right? But this has been so much fun, and thank you so much for having us on. I love your podcast too. So, and listen, you all leave good reviews, all right? Or we're coming for you. Yeah. Just saying.
Well, thank you. And then head on over to the Glitter Boom Girls and subscribe over there. And you do have a YouTube channel where you do, it's audio. It's audio, but for people who are on YouTube like YouTube, and then people who are on podcasts tend to like podcasts. So it's good if you're a YouTube person and you can listen to all their podcasts. That's actually where I listen to your podcast, is over actually on YouTube, the ones that I've heard so far. So and they're great. They're great.
That's exactly why we put them up there, even though we're not on video. And Amy's got 2 books on YouTube too. Audio books, Confetti Covered Quicksand and Sunset Strip Diaries. Yeah, and she reads them. Like, it's really fun to listen to. Because
link them to me, and of course I'll link them on the.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And of course thank you.
I'll link your show as well in the description below for sure. So
thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, so fun. Thank you so much. And we hope we get to come back.
Oh,
and we'll try to stay on topic.
This has been a blast. Doors wide open.
Wonderful.
Anytime.
Great.
Anytime. All right.